Sacred Families, Developing the Family According to God's Design. This is lesson number 11 entitled Speed Parenting, and this is a small group exercise. My mother's family had 10 children, 7 girls and 3 boys. When I was a kid, there was a time when I was about 12 years old that within 5 blocks of my house, I had 7 aunts and uncles. I had my grandmother and 14 cousins living within a 5-block radius of where I lived. My mother would get together with my aunts and my grandmother for tea, and they would talk, usually about each other's kids. Families lived closer then, and child raising was more of a community endeavor. The neighbor lady, for example, or the guy at the candy store knew who you were, and he'd tell your parents if you were out of line. They wouldn't be shy to do that. At school, the school mirrored very much the morality and the values that were being taught to us in our home, and that's not necessarily true today in many cases. Today, families are far apart, children are programmed for activities, and parents don't always have the close-knit support and advice of peers in the business of raising their children. So in this particular session, I want you to take time to share your experience and wisdom with one another in addressing the issues and the questions and the problems faced by most parents raising children. Obviously, if you're alone, you can use this session when you get together with other parents to have a small group discussion. I think it would be helpful. If you are a church group doing this, I'm going to give you some instructions on how to put together this speed parenting small group discussion. So hopefully this speed parenting session will yield some helpful strategies and personal experiences that'll benefit others in your group. So here's how it works if you want to try this. First of all, break into small groups, each of them sitting at separate tables. And within each small group, try to appoint a secretary or a spokesman who will take some notes and who will be able to give feedback to the larger group when the exercise is over. Secondly, review the questions that are listed at the link on the screen, and we'll show that link a little bit later on. And I want you to take the time to answer and discuss as many of the questions on the link as possible in the time limit. Now there are many questions, and I mean you'd have to spend days together to get through all of them. So just pick 3 or 4, as many as you can do in the amount of time that your group has set as a limit. And I might mention that all the questions on the link are all questions that have been submitted by parents who attended a Sacred Family or a Sacred Family seminar. As you're discussing, once you've come to a conclusion about the question, because all the questions are, how to do this with a child, and what do you do when your child does this? Well, discuss that among yourselves, and when you come to a consensus answer, have the secretary kind of write down a summary of what that answer is to that question. The idea is you're going to be discussing for maybe 30 or 45 minutes. You might be able to answer successfully 3 or 4 or 5 of those questions. Once you are done, then each group feed back to the main group some of the answers that you've come up with to the questions that were on the list. So I hope this, this speed parenting exercise really will yield some great answers and some good discussion among you as parents. For now, I want to thank you for viewing the material and using BibleTalk.tv for this. If the material has been a blessing to you, we only ask that you pass it on, give a shout out to others, link us with other people so that others can use the material that's on the BibleTalk.tv website. Thank you very much, and God bless you.